You're watching Dave and Keith on Net Talk 757, your one-stop shop for volleyball on Hampton Roads.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Net Talk 757 with Dave and Keith. I'm obviously Keith, and
I'm Dave.
I just call myself Keith.
Keith?
I don't know what that's
Pittsburgh.
about. Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we're both from Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. But that has nothing to do with volleyball. Anyways, so we're Net Talk 757, and we're here to talk about volleyball in Hampton Roads, the 757, anywhere in the southeastern Virginia area. We can't go too far because, we don't have that much time, but generally we're just going to be talking about volleyball, promoting it, sharing it. I don't know, Dave, well, here's the deal. So Dave and I talk all the time, right?
Too much.
Too much.
A lot on the phone.
A lot on the phone.
Does make traveling back and forth to work shorter, though.
Well, my office at Virginia Beach, I live in Suffolk, 45-minute drive. We get on the phone, we start talking about volleyball, and for the longest time, we've been trying to come up with something we could do within the volleyball world to kind of, build its knowledge, build its I don't know. Promote it,
Get more people interested, and people who don't understand it a lot, maybe have them understand it a little bit more.
Right.
People who do understand it a lot, have them understand it a little bit more.
Right.
And just try to get people to be more involved, maybe.
Well, so one of the things you've said over and over again is, okay, so we have a lot of volleyball in the area. We have club volleyball, high school, beach, college, and, I'm going to steal your phrase before you get to say it, is it's a one-stop shop. When we talked about it and different things, he really thought this is an idea that we can have that can allow you, the viewer, the chance to find out everything you can, because we're going to do our best to make sure we pass on as much information as we can find out to you guys about volleyball in the area.
Yeah. Nothing overly professional, as you can see. Trying to keep it very simple. Just something that people can, go on and view and listen to and hear some discussions, and, maybe they like some, maybe they don't like others, but just get the conversation about volleyball out there, and try to keep the show as lively as possible by bringing in, some different people to interview, and maybe some referees and some coaches and some players, and just keep changing it up and keep the interest going.
Anything we can do. Once high school rolls around, we'll start. Just for the fact here, it's February, 2014. Club volleyball really kind of just got kicked off in the last month or two, and during this season, there's so much to talk about. There's so many tournaments. There's so many clubs. How many clubs in the Hampton Roads?
There has to be at least 16, 17
yeah, there's like 16,
clubs.
17 clubs just in this area playing juniors volleyball. And, what we want to do is we want to try and give that information out to you guys. If Serve, right, one of the clubs in town, if they play in a tournament and they do great, well, we're going to report it to you, let you know, give them a little bit of love. If, just name a club, there's like you said, 16 of them, we're going to share. And that's good, because I can tell you, clubs I've coached for, you tend to know what your club's doing. Right. You tend to know what your success is. If you're at a tournament and someone else is there, you might see it, but you don't go out and look to see how they're doing.
Right.
And the thing is there's a competitiveness between different clubs. Some of it healthy, some of it unhealthy, but that competitiveness is what can drive us. And if we start learning about each other, right, and we find out that maybe this club over here did really, really good, what's the hurt going to a tournament and cheering on other people from your area? Because we've talked about it before. We're not one of the biggest areas by far.
No, by a long shot.
Yeah,
very small when you look at the scope of, especially when you look at the scope of juniors volleyball, for sure. Much smaller than places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Texas, Florida, let alone your Californias and things like that. So,
well, but the thing is, we may not be as big as them, but I have a strong feeling that we can be just as strong, right? If we start really learning about what everyone else is doing, next thing you know, we can really promote volleyball. And, you know, some of those kids out there, because there's, you know, a few thousand, oh, not a few thousand, 1,000 kids or more that are playing volleyball in town, both boys and girls. You know, there's probably 1,000 more that could be playing.
Sure.
And you know, if we get the excitement up and we get the interest up, then you know, hey, we're doing our job, and that's what we want to do. We want to kind of, you know, share with you guys. And you know, what were you saying? You also, you know, about getting them to talk to us too, right?
Yeah, well, and you know, the way we're going to obviously do this is through, you know, a webcam video production type of thing. But you know, we also have the Facebook website spot that we
obviously have. You know, we have Facebook, right? We'll just let Dave go over that,
right?
Because if you're here, you're on our Facebook page.
Exactly. Yeah, hopefully. Right. You know, so we have the Facebook page that's going to be up. You know, we also have a email.
Yep.
And our email is nettalk757 at yahoo.com. And so we're hoping that between the Facebook and the email, you know, not only are you enjoying the shows and maybe getting something out of the shows or finding them funny or whatever, that's fine too. But hopefully you're sending us some stuff like, hey, Dave and Keith, you know, how about, you know, something on this club, or hey, Dave and Keith, I really have a question about this rule in volleyball. Can you explain it? And better than even us explaining it, you know, if you send that in, we'll try to get a referee in here and we'll ask them the questions, and they can explain it directly to you. You know, anything like that, to where, you know, we're answering questions and we're continuing to promote the sport and making it maybe interesting as well.
Interesting. Yeah. We talked about it. We don't want to just sit there and say, okay, so last weekend at the Monument City tournament under USA jurisdiction, the winners were no. I mean,
we don't want this to be a school documentary.
No.
You know, the idea is to have fun with it. You know, talk about some things. We'll probably make several thousand mistakes. You know, probably missay several words, and probably have a lot of jokes along the way, and wear, you know, some goofy outfits that don't look good and whatever. And
I always
you know,
look good, so you don't worry about that.
Yeah. But you know, we just want to have fun with it and keep it really laid back and whatever. So you know, by all means, you know, if you enjoy it and it's fun for you to follow, please make sure you let us know, because you know, as long as that continues, we're willing to continue to do programs for everybody.
Yeah,
so.
you know, put some comments down here at the bottom. We actually have a YouTube page. We're actually hosting all the videos on YouTube. Go there, like us. You know, the more followers we get, the greatest. You know, maybe we can actually get some production quality and you know, really do some good things.
Send us some pictures from the tournament.
Oh yeah, send us some pictures, some videos. I'm getting ready to go to Capitol Hill this coming weekend, and I'm taking the camera with me. And any 757 teams I see, I'm gonna try and run some footage on that, and you know,
I'm
throw
going
it
to
up on our
Chicago,
page.
but it's too cold there.
Chicago,
Yeah.
They don't run cameras there.
Not when it gets that cold, no. I don't even have clothes. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Well, you have to
It's
wear
cold.
something. It is cold.
It is cold.
But it's cold today too. It's like
But this.
Chicago cold.
Yeah.
But we're from
I
Pittsburgh.
think the high's like 26 this week.
Yeah, but we're from Pittsburgh. It shouldn't
Yeah,
matter.
but I've been down here a long time now.
And you're like me. See, the thing is, I've lived here probably as long as you have. No, I've lived here longer because I moved here when I was 19.
Yeah, you've lived here long.
And my blood is thinned, you know,
Yeah.
so I actually get a little bit colder than I used to when I lived in Pittsburgh. But you can still take your cell phone and just like video something with your cell phone.
I'll be shaking the whole time, but that's okay.
Okay, give it to your assistant. She doesn't shake. She's a man. You, on the other hand, are.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You've seen my assistant, right?
I have.
It's hard to find good help these days.
Lindsay, I love you. Just ignore him. Anyway, so ultimately what we're going to try and do is, I'm going to use your phrase again, Dave, because it's perfect, a one-stop shop for volleyball in the 757.
Yep.
So
when we come back, we're going to take a little break here. And when we come back, we're going to let you know why Keith and Dave have a little bit of background in what we're doing, to that we're not just you know, two bowlers or two table tennis players or whatever.
I can play some table tennis.
And I can bowl. Well, we may have to have a
table tennis bowling match.
Yeah, for a cup or something.
For a cup.
We'll let you know the results. And, you know, to let you know sort of what, you know, our backgrounds are, so that you can say, well, it's just not two random guys who are talking about volleyball.
Right.
So we'll see you back here, and stick with us and get to know us.
While you're waiting for us to come back, nettalk757 at yahoo.com. Send us an email.
Welcome back to the Volleyball Show in Hampton Roads.
Net Talk 757.
Welcome back, everyone, to Net Talk 757. And we're talking volleyball here with Keith and Dave. And now, in this next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, very briefly, just so you get an idea of who we are and why we maybe have a little bit of qualifications for doing something like this.
Right. You know, like you said, we're not just ping pong players and bowlers. We actually have a little bit of experience. Right.
So, Keith, you're going to go first, right?
No, you go first.
No, I think you should go first.
Wait a minute. Okay, so we had a little meeting to talk about this beforehand, and I thought we agreed you were going first.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Best of three.
Best of
All
three.
Right, here we go. Ready? Wait, did we do it wrong? Wait, 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, that's one for me. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. You go first.
Oh, man. Okay.
I told you. See, we have meetings for a reason, so he gets to go first.
All right. Okay. So, my background, I'm going to try to make it really quick. Started off playing in high school. Was introduced to the game through some PE classes at first. And my father, who was an administrator in the school district, asked me to go with him to watch our boys volleyball team participate in the state championships.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you, and I know we weren't going to do this, but at least tell me where you're from and what school it was.
I went to Derry High School in western Pennsylvania. We were about 40 miles, I guess, east of Pittsburgh. And most of the teams that we had to play were in the Pittsburgh area. But at the time, the state championships were at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Okay,
so now back to you said your dad. I just wanted you to say where you were from.
Right, and so I went with him to go watch the volleyball team play. And they happened to win the state championship that year. And so, that type of success and the energy and how the game was played caught my interest. I was a football, basketball, baseball guy.
So you just didn't play one sport?
No, I played several sports. And so, you sort of catch the bug a little bit. I knew several guys on the team because they had played for my father as a football player.
Oh, yeah, didn't you say one?
He was a football coach in Western PA.
You were the.
I was a manager.
Manager, that's what it was. You were the manager, so you got to know.
Yeah, so I knew a lot of the guys and hung out with them during a tournament and whatever. And prior to my 9th grade year, which was as early as we could play, I had a good friend named Bart Elliott, and his mother and brother happened to be volleyball coaches in our community. His mother was a high school girls coach, and his brother was a coach at our local community college. And so while Bart was more of a soccer player, he knew the game of volleyball, and I would go with him, and we played a lot of outdoor stuff at a community park that his brother was running over the summers. And so they taught me the basics, and then in 9th grade, I tried out for our high school team.
I have to do this. He's told me this part before. What were the courts made of that you played in?
The courts were sawdust. Sawdust. You had to really learn how to use your feet really well because you did not want to dive on sawdust. You were picking out splinters for hours.
I think the fact that he lived outside of Pittsburgh, where I lived in Pittsburgh, we had sand courts.
Oh, you guys were rich.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Our city was rich, maybe not me.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So my freshman year, you get to try out for the team, and luckily because I had played a little bit, I probably had an edge on a lot of the other kids who just saw it as another sport to try out for, and made the team and played 4 years at the high school.
Good.
And then went on and played 4 years in college. And then after college, I went to Shippensburg University.
Okay, cool.
And then after college, I moved down to this area. Played several years beach volleyball.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second. I think it's fair. Just to kind of give you guys fair warning, being that I'm from Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, I do know of Derry and I know how good Derry is. Not that he'll ever see it, but I think it's worthwhile saying something about the coach and how he really just kind of instilled in you the love past when you learned from your buddies with mom and stuff.
I was lucky enough to have some great coaches. Coach Shaw, Rich Shaw.
That's his name. I can remember.
Yeah, is considered one of the great coaches of Pennsylvania. and along with him, Bucky Hall, who was my JV coach, had been around for years. And actually, at the time, Mark Pavlik, who now is the men's coach for Penn State, he was working in our program as well. Because
You
at the
told me
time,
that.
at the time
That's
he
crazy.
was he was a girls coach, college women's coach.
Oh, okay.
So he was able to work with our program because in Pennsylvania the boys play in the spring, as you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So he was able to work with us. So I had 3 great coaches to learn from. And, when you get that kind of training early on and you
Yeah.
learn how to do it the right way, you can be 5'9" and still play the game. So.
Well, sorry to interrupt you and while you were doing it, when you were supposed to be doing it, by the way, but you first, me second. But I thought it was important that you mentioned him.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
not even it's relevant to them, but,
Right.
send him an email, tell him to listen because
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big believer in
Exactly. I just
giving
saw him the
love.
other day at a tournament, actually. He
Oh, really?
still enjoys the game. His sons, all 3 of his sons played. All 3 played at Penn State, and now they're all coaching as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
I coach against one of his kids all the time.
Oh, that's funny.
And yeah, so it's pretty neat. So, but then I played 4 years in college,
Right.
And then after college, played some beach volleyball down here, and then got into coaching and coached
Mm-hmm.
high school for several years, both girls and boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've coached juniors now, and I think I'm on my 17th year coaching juniors and 35th season.
That's the thing
coming
too.
out.
30. When he says seasons, like I had someone actually say to me, "With seasons, he's not even that old." That's not necessarily years, because when you think about it, you have club season, high school season, and college season.
Right.
Even if it's in the same calendar year, you still count that as a season.
Right.
So,
Whole new group of kids.
Yep.
Whole new set of plans.
Yep.
So, it's basically a whole new year.
yeah.
Or a season of learning and training and whatever. So I've been around it a good bit. Don't play anymore, but now I just spend time coaching and.
Well, I
doing that kind of
interrupted you. You didn't get to finish that all the way through. So you coached in high school.
Coached in high school, coached
You had
girls and boys.
17 years of club, and then what else?
stuff. And then the last 5 years I've been with Norfolk State University.
Not gonna let you leave that out.
Yeah, and
That's-
starting my 6th year as a first assistant over there. And it's been a great experience, totally different.
Mhm.
Just like coaching boys and girls are totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Coaching high school and clubs totally different.
Mhm.
Playing is totally different than coaching,
Mhm.
and coaching college is totally different than coaching club. So it's been neat, and I've been lucky enough to be in some positions where I've been able to do all those different things, because now I can't say, well, I didn't give that a try. So
Right.
so it's nice to be able to do all of that and sort of bring that experience to the way I coach now.
Right, and to be fair to you, I mean, it's okay. He's humble, right? He's a humble guy. I mean, but you did mention that when we've talked about this in the past, when we thought about what we would say, how many girls have you helped get to college? I mean, you probably don't know the exact number.
I don't know
Maybe
the
you
exact
do, but-
number. We're in the anywhere between the 90 to
Yeah.
over 100 range over the course of. the
And,
years I've
and
been
as a
here.
coach, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, by far.
I mean,
By far. I've been lucky enough to work with some talented kids.
Yeah.
6 of them ended up becoming All-American, either at D1, D2, or
Right.
D3. Several of them are colleagues of mine who are coaching in the same club now.
yeah.
And I haven't coached a daughter yet of a player.
Oh,
But
a
it's-
daughter of a player.
Right. Then that's when I know I've come full circle. It's getting close though.
Wow.
But yeah, some of my first couple kids that I coached, I could potentially be coaching their kid the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. No, I always talk about with me, when I'm coaching, I'd love every kid to go play in college. I would, but not all of them do. So when you do get those couple that come through, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It means
It's nice when they come back to alumni night and they still enjoy the game.
Mhm.
They still come up and they're excited to tell you how well they did.
That's cool.
And following them in the college game. And now, several of the girls that I coached, my team at Norfolk State, were
Yeah.
playing against those girls. So they're on the other side of the net, and you
that's
know them
right.
really well because you just coached them the last year, 2 or 3,
That
and they're
kinda
playing
gives-
against you now.
That kind of gives you a little bit of, because you know what they can do.
Well, maybe, or it's worse because you know what they can do. So I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure which one's better, but that's always a neat experience as well. So we got several of my former players are college coaches now themselves, and so it's a neat experience
That's
when
pretty
you
cool.
can work with young adults. And,
I mean, you essentially, as soon as you got out of college, you got the job here, right? You came right here,
yeah, I coached.
And then-
I coached for 1 year down in Currituck.
right?
And then I coached 2 years at Kellum High School, and then I coached over 10 years at Great Bridge High School.
Right. Boys and
before-
girls, right?
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
3 years with girls, and I think maybe it was 10 years with boys, so it might have been more like 13 years
Oh,
at
wow.
Great Bridge, and then the last, 5 years with Norfolk State. I also coached basketball and football along the way, which I think has helped me, to be honest.
Right.
Coaching other sports and playing other sports, I think is a great way to sort of analyze just being an athlete and different movements and different mindsets and that kind of stuff.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
but anyway, so I know a good bit about Keith's background, so I'm going to start him off in directing him a little bit in the fact that he is a true Pittsburghian. Pittsburgher.
I'm a big fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right, and the Pirates
And the
and
Pittsburgh
the Penguins.
Pirates and the Penguins.
Right, so
And the Penguins are in first place right now.
Yeah, they
so
are.
that's
They're
important.
doing well after a lot of injuries, which is pretty
Yes,
sweet.
Yeah.
So, I know that Keith is from the Pittsburgh area, so I'm going to start him out by explaining a little bit about where he's from and explaining how he was able to get out of the rough town of North Hills to actually be able to be here and be on camera. The last time you were on camera, it was a mugshot or something from North Hills, wasn't it?
I'm ignoring him. That's what I just do. Anyway, so now that you lost rock, paper, scissors, it's my turn. Again, I'm from Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. It's just literally 5-10 minutes out of downtown, right in the city. My volleyball is pretty weird. I was 8 years old. I had an older brother who played at the high school, and we'd go to watch his practices. And no matter, anytime I tell a story, I always tell this because I think it's important for anyone who loves volleyball to always pay attention to who's around. I used to go to my brother's practices, and the head coach at the time, a guy by the name of Mike Brown, he's running practice, he's doing his thing, and I'm sitting over there on the bleachers watching, and he comes over and he grabs me. I'm 8 years old, and teaches me how to serve a floater. And how many times have we been at practices? Kids are just sitting around. We have a minute. If they're running a drill, go get them. Go show them how to pass the ball or whatever. Anyways, that's my little advertisement. So what I did was he went out there, showed me how to serve that floater, and I served it. And next thing you know, I'm coming to practices serving at the varsity squad, and I did that for a while. And
Now, did you join in with them, or did you become like a manager?
no,
or?
My parents. My brother was 8 years older than me, so
Okay.
I was 8, he was 16, and he was on varsity. I was going to bed, when most of his matches
Right.
were ending, so I
Right.
didn't really do that. But I did go to a lot of the practices.
Okay.
So when I was at the practice, I was allowed to serve.
Good.
That's all I was
Good.
allowed to do, because if I got hit with that ball at 8 years old, if any of y'all seen guys hit, they hit the ball pretty hard. So
That would explain a lot more, though.
if I got hit in the head,
Right.
I played football my whole life.
Oh, okay.
That explains it. I started playing football when I was 8.
Was that when the
playing all
helmets
way
were
up.
still leather, or were they actually?
We didn't wear helmets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Western Pennsylvania.
That's true.
No, of course I wore a helmet. I definitely, if they had the concussion rules then that they have today,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have played a lot of football
Right.
because I always had a concussion. But anyway, so I learned how to do it there, and I can't really say I played a lot. You know what I mean? To be truthful, but I did touch a ball enough that when I got to high school, well, let me preface this: North Hills was not Derry. Derry went to the state playoffs every year.
I'm not sure about now, though.
Well, now it's different.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
very well could
Things
be.
have changed a lot.
I know, actually, totally side story, and then we talked about, there was a kid who was 2 years behind me. Fred Mathias was his name.
Mhm.
He was basically teethed on his volleyball. His two sisters played, his mom played.
Right.
He ended up going to Penn State. and
Okay.
playing. He played for Penn State. He came back to the high school and ran the program
Oh,
for
nice.
a while.
Nice.
And for what I understand, while he was running it, they did real
Do well.
But how they are now, I don't know.
Right.
But So when I was there, we weren't great. We were good. We weren't great. And so I tried out for the team as a ninth grader. I made it, and I actually started varsity. And I started all 4 years.
Okay.
So it was kind of fun. Between my junior and senior year in the state of Pennsylvania, Keystone State Games.
Right.
So it's an in-state Olympics. Compete in all sports, and I got recruited.
Sort of like for here, I guess it would be like the Virginia Coaches Association All-Star Game.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, we do have one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, ours is. I think they want to call it East and West.
Okay.
Although I never see our state
Is that
as
why
an
you
East and
asked that
West.
the one time we were talking about it? You're like,
Maybe.
what side did I play
Yeah,
for? The East
so we
or
have a
West?
couple kids in the area that will play on the East team this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know. No. I would say it's different, only because it's like this thing is literally run like an Olympics, and people will just put in their application to be run the 100-yard dash, and then it's whoever's the best 100-yard runner in the state wins the gold.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing that is maybe different is when you get into the team sports, or maybe it was everything, they break it down by age.
Okay.
So like the team I played on was an 18 and under team.
Okay, and this is, I think, just all high school.
Yeah. This was adults. They had adults playing there and everything.
Okay.
But so between my junior and senior year, I got recruited, played on a team, and we won the gold medal. It was pretty cool.
Good.
So then from there, I finished out high school. I got hurt. I got hurt my first tournament before the season started. It sucked. And so I really didn't play much until the playoffs. And then my coach put me in. I jumped, landed. He didn't like the way I landed, so he pulled me back out, and I didn't play.
Okay.
And when I got out of high school, a few months later, that same coach recruited me. I played for Budweiser. I was an 18-year-old kid wearing a Budweiser jersey. They lied because they weren't supposed to have anybody on the team who was underage.
Right.
So I played with him, open, all up around the East Coast for USA Volleyball for a while. Then I joined the military. I joined the Navy. I thought I was going to be going to college. Didn't happen. So I joined the Navy. And while I was in the Navy, I played for and coached 4 or 5 different teams. Every team I did, we won every tournament. A lot of you in the Hampton Roads area will know what the all-Navy teams are. You learn. Well, Aaron played for them, so you saw them.
Right.
So I got recruited to play for the all-Navy team, to set for them. But you have to be released by your job, and my job wouldn't release me. So instead, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
And what ended up happening with me was after I was pretty depressed. I thought when I was a teenager, I thought my whole life would be volleyball. It's all I did. And then when the Navy thing happened and I couldn't go play for all Navy, I quit. I stopped. I was 20. My daughter is, I was 24 years old, and I just quit volleyball. I even I was so dramatic, I threw away my Mizunos.
Wow.
I had Mizuno high tops. They'd be vintage today. You know what I mean? And I
remember those. I think I had the same pair.
Yep.
There was only like 2 or 3 options you could get. There was Mizuno high tops. There was the Mizuno Tigers, which had the whole bottom was a gel.
Yep.
But yeah, it was ASICs. It was ASICs. I'm sorry, it was the ASICs Tigers. So either the ASICs Tigers or the Mizuno.
Well, they're called Wave today.
Yeah, whatever they're called.
But they were high tops, and they compared to today's shoes, kids would be like, "What? Get rid of these! These are terrible." But I threw them away. I was just kind of so depressed. And then when my daughter, I think she was a 7th grader, she tried out for the school team, made the team, but wasn't playing. She was terrible. She was not, really good. And my wife, her mom, was like, "You should have Dad go teach you volleyball."
Right.
Yeah, what does Dad know about volleyball, right? So I'm not pushing. Those of you who
you're out in the backyard peppering again.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
She wouldn't let me help her at all. I can tell you, dude. She was like, "No, he doesn't know anything about volleyball." So, but eventually, game after game, she's not playing. She's not playing. And Mom was like, "Megan, you need to do this." So finally, she did. So I took her out in the yard. I taught her how to pass.
Right.
I mean, the coach, no disrespect, great guy, but he wasn't a volleyball guy, right?
Right.
So I taught her how to pass, and next thing you know, she's learning, and now she's playing, and I started going to the school and watched what was going on. I thought, I can really help here.
Right.
And next thing you know, I go to the coach, tell him, they offer me a spot.
Now, what school was this at?
So Portsmouth Christian School.
Okay.
In Portsmouth, obviously. So I became their JV coach. I coached 4 or 5 years as their JV coach, and then took over the head coaching position for a couple seasons. And I coached junior varsity and varsity at the same time. And during that time was when, when I started to do club.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you contacted us, asked if there was some openings, and we brought you in, and I can't remember, was it 15s you coached? 14s for us.
First year was the 14s. And then I did that for 1 year, and then I coached 16s, and I've been doing club now for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Last year, I made the jump from the private school to Great Bridge.
Right.
Coaching the Great Bridge boys there.
Right. Did very well this year.
Yeah, we had a really good season. It wasn't a season, I don't remember the exact record, but man, we started off, came out on fire.
Yeah, it's good. Good season.
But that's my history. That's what I know about volleyball. And
well, now at least you guys know that it's not necessarily people who haven't been around the game for a while. And I've said this to a lot of people. I don't think if anyone feels that anyone's an expert, they're wrong. You can always learn more about the game, and I enjoy learning things from other coaches. I enjoy learning things from coaches that aren't even part of our sport.
Yeah.
And reading books about coaches who have coached other sports. I like to adapt that sort of into my coaching style as well. And so, could there be maybe 10, 12, 14 different people who could be in these two seats from our area? Sure, there absolutely could be. We're just sort of taking the initiative to do it, and hopefully we can bring in some of those people as well, and they can give us some insight on their philosophies and the way they do things and whatever, and we'll just continue to go with it.
The one thing you said there I think is huge, and I don't even know if it's relevant to talk about now. It's not only that we have different things and all that, but each time we coach, each team we coach, we're different.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to adapt.
I don't know if I have ever coached 2 years in a row the same way. That's one of the things that I really try to do is, I try to adjust my coaching philosophy and my style of doing things based around the type of athletes that I have.
Absolutely.
So, and that gives you some, not every season is going to be great. And I think we've all been there where, we look back on seasons and say, wow, maybe if I would have done this or maybe if I would have done that. But, that's why, when you put in the years, it helps because, I think you learn as much from losing, obviously, as you do from winning and being successful. So when you add in both of those components, you have a good bit of knowledge there to, try different things and feel comfortable about trying different things.
And I think, and that's huge. Any coaches out there who listen to that, the one thing he said there is so valuable. Even if you have a losing season, I mean, you didn't say this exactly, but even if you have a losing season, you should learn so much from it. You can learn a lot about yourself, how you handle yourself, how you work with the girls or the boys when that happens, and I don't know about you, I would suspect, we've never talked about this, but I can tell you almost after every match, a lot of times after practices, but definitely after every season, I go back and sometimes I'll write it, but I always reflect and say, okay, what did I do wrong? I mean, I had a season 1 year where it was terrible. I had parent problems, I had kid problems, and I went back and I sat back and I really analyzed myself to make sure that it wasn't me and what's going on. That's huge. Yeah. You can learn so much from negative. That's what I'm saying.
Yep, no question. And so when we come back in our next segment of Net Talk 757, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the clubs and what some of our girls teams. We'll get to the boys eventually, but what some of our girls teams are doing in the area. And try to mention as many clubs as we can without dragging it on too much. We can't mention everything that everyone does. We're going to mention some highlights and give some teams some credit. And again, by all means, if we missed you, hopefully we didn't. If we missed you, please email us or put a note in there, and we'll make sure that we correct that and get you on Net Talk. And
we're going to take a quick break because I have to go to the bathroom. So. We'll be back in a minute. Whew. I feel better.
Good.
Anyways.
If you feel better, I feel better.
Good, yeah. So anyways, welcome back. Net Talk 757. I almost said 757 Net Talk.
No, you're backwards.
That would work. I am backwards. That's my wife. Anyway, so welcome back to Net Talk 757. Dave and Keith. Volleyball in Hampton Roads.
The one-stop shop.
The one-stop shop. Sounds like dramatic.
It does.
I put on my...
We'll have T-shirts out soon.
We will?
Why not?
We should talk to someone who might own
Let
a
us know
company.
if you want a T-shirt.
Let a T-shirt, yes. Matter of fact, I'm just doing something without even asking him. We're gonna make T-shirts, and if you send in an idea for something we can use in this, we'll send you a T-shirt for free.
Wow. It's coming out of his paycheck, not mine.
His paycheck. Anyway,
we'll have to rock, paper, scissors for it again.
well, you know,
I'm not losing twice.
Yes, you will.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will.
You don't lose twice in a row.
I don't, but you?
Oh.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, so before the break, we talked about how we're going to talk about, what some clubs are doing in the area. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do our best to highlight as many teams as we can. It's impossible to talk about every club. 16 clubs. Most clubs have at least one team per age group from 18 to 12 or 13s.
Right.
And a lot of clubs have two teams. And you start trying to talk about everyone, it's just not possible.
Yeah,
So,
waters it down a little bit too.
Yeah, and so Dave kind of came up with the criteria of,
Yeah,
what
when we
teams-
went down through, we looked at what we decided to do for this first segment of Net Talk is to look at maybe the 3 tournaments that most of the 757 would have played in.
Right.
Which would have been Monument City Classic, Blizzard Blast, and MAPO Hampton.
Right.
And so those are the first 3 we're going to talk about. Now we're going to expand probably for the next segment because we have a lot of teams from the area that's going to go up to Capitol Hill Classic.
Yeah, we're going.
And we'll have some teams that are going out to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, depending on when we actually set up the next segment, we'll have some tournaments from outside the area. But we tried to just stick with the inside the area tournaments right now. And with that, then, we decided what we would do is we would try to go maybe down to 5th or 6th place as long as a team had a winning record. So any of our 757 teams who came in the top 5 in those events, in the age level,
Right.
and the criteria within that age level,
Get a mention.
right? So you could be open, club, select, right? And then also have a winning record, we'll mention those teams.
All right, so we have a planned time, right? We're actually running off a good script here, but something I think we should talk about that might take us over our time is,
It's going to cost you.
well, it's for them. It's not for me.
Oh, okay. Then we're okay then.
Because Susie Q out there, her grandma's watching this. And Grandma Susie from, Idaho.
Whoa.
Idaho.
They even get... Do people in Idaho have computers?
Well, yeah, I think they do.
They do?
Well, they just put it on the back of their cows. And
Oh, nice.
No, but I mean,
A cow-puter.
That's so bad.
But yet you're laughing.
That's because it's so bad. Okay.
A cow-puter.
So Susie
What's wrong
Q,
with that?
Susie, shut up. Susie Q grandma in Idaho on your cow pewter.
Right.
All right. You guys see what I have to put up with all the time. Anyway, what we should do is kind of just a little bit explain what you were just saying. So,
Okay.
at Monument City, you said you have open, you have club, and you have select. What does that mean? What is that about?
Well, basically, the open level is going to be your most advanced teams. Teams that are going to maybe do a lot more travel, be considered some of the better teams, maybe on the East Coast even,
Right.
That kind of stuff. And then if the team isn't quite as strong, maybe, you might be playing in the club level,
Right.
or below that's the select level.
Right.
And all the levels are for basically is just to allow kids and coaches the opportunity to be successful. So it allows kids to go out and enjoy the game of volleyball without being overwhelmed by teams, or enjoy the game of volleyball without destroying teams.
Yeah.
And just trying to keep teams on the same basic level so everyone enjoys the game.
The last thing you want is a player, but even as a coach, is to go to a tournament and you have a certain level, a certain caliber of players. Last thing I want to do is go to a tournament and play
Right.
kids who, every kid is going to be going to
Yep.
a D1 school. Each girl's 6 foot or higher on the entire team, and
Right.
you just get spanked. It's no fun. So what's nice is, well, you know what? We should probably talk about that too. What's nice is USA Volleyball, but we're gonna probably talk about that too in a second. But what's nice is they put it out there so that all levels can play.
Right.
You know, from the kid who is going to be going to Wisconsin on a full scholarship to the kid who, you know what, her high school will be the last time she ever plays, and
or
she
community
plays
college or JUCO or whatever.
Yeah, so it's real nice. Okay, so now that we kind of got the levels done, what I was just getting at was, you know, maybe we should explain Junior Olympics. You always refer to Junior Olympics, right? But primarily we have USA Volleyball,
right?
So USAV and AAUs.
Right.
So you kind of explain what the difference is between those
So
two.
basically, when you're looking at juniors volleyball, or travel ball as some other sports call it, you know, there's two major organizations that you can be affiliated with.
Okay.
You're either going to be affiliated with USA Volleyball,
Okay.
or you're going to be affiliated with AAU. Two basically large organizations that run volleyball tournaments. Both tend to have the same rules. There are a few differences sometimes, but both of them basically have the same rules, and both of them will sponsor different events. Some clubs that are out there are just going to be USA clubs.
Right.
Some clubs that are out there are going to be AAU clubs. Most of the clubs are going to do a combination of both.
Right.
And all it means is that your players and your coaches and your staff are getting memberships to both organizations. Outside of that, most parents don't know the difference other than the fact that the shirt that their kid's buying says AAU or USA.
Well, and then ultimately they both have their own championships, right?
Yes, there are two championships. Matter of fact, there's probably 5 or 6 championships.
Oh, really?
Those are two of the larger ones.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when we're talking about these events, Monument City is a USAV. We're going to talk about that.
Right.
The Blizzard Blast we'll talk about is
That's an AAU.
And then the last one was
The MAPL Hampton is probably considered a USAV as well.
Right.
Correct.
And when we get to that, we'll kind of explain what Maple means a little bit more.
Right. We can do that.
But anyway, so what we'll do now is, you know, it's going to be a little longer today because I think we're going from the start of the year. You know, here we are in February. You know, coming up on Valentine's Day.
Right.
Day. What are you doing for your wife?
I don't know. I think she needs a new golf club.
Yeah. You know what I'm doing for my wife? Nothing.
No.
I don't support Valentine's Day.
My wife doesn't golf.
I see what you did there.
Maybe I'll get her a.
You're horrible.
What? Maybe I'll
Kelly,
get her a.
he's horrible.
A computer.
A computer. So you got to go to Idaho.
I have to go to Idaho.
Or Iowa. Did I say Idaho?
I think you said Idaho. I have to get it shipped from Idaho.
Anyways, so Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, I will be out of town. So are you. When are you leaving?
We leave this Friday. Won't get home until Monday.
Yeah, I'm going up Friday night. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so happy Valentine's Day. I actually have a Valentine's Day practice.
Nice.
On Thursday, all the girls have to wear red or
That's good.
or white, and they're like exchanging Valentine's.
Oh, that's nice.
They probably think
Nice
I'm the
little team
strangest guy
thing.
in the
Yeah.
world, you know.
Team functions are always good.
Yeah. They better all bring me something.
Candy.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you need.
Yeah, sugar-free candy. I like sugar-free candy. Anyway, so now that we wasted 2 minutes talking about randomness, so what we're gonna do first, and I'm gonna look over here because my computer's over here with it on. We're gonna talk about Monument City. So I'm gonna talk about first. Monument City Classic is in Richmond, Virginia. It's open to all teams, but primarily it's mostly within the general vicinity. Maybe the Chesapeake region, ODR.
Chesapeake region, ODR, Carolina region.
A couple Pennsylvania teams come down, or no?
Maybe a few Pennsylvania teams, and then you maybe have a team or two from South Carolina.
But it's a decent-sized tournament. You know, you have open, club, and select in almost every age group, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what we're going to do, remember at the start of this little segment here, Dave talked about we picked the top 6 that had winning records. And I'm going to blow through it quick because when we first looked at this list, we thought if we just list all these, it's going to take forever. So I'm going to go through it quick. So in the 18s, in the open division, his team, congratulations. Coastal's 18 Blue finished second place with a 7-1 record. Big deal. The 17s age group in the open level, we had 2 teams from our area. Beach Elite 17 Black, they finished third with a 4-4 record, and Coastal 17 Blue finished fifth, and they had a 5-3 record.
And that was an interesting finish too, because in order for them to place in those places, they actually played each other.
Oh, did they really?
Sort of neat. Yeah, and 17 Blue or
Beach Elite.
Coastal 17 blue lost to Beach Elite 17 black, I believe, in 3 sets, and it was pretty close.
Oh, right.
So yes, it was a really good match for our area because it was all, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk. Maybe a few kids from the northeast part of North Carolina all on the court at one time.
Well, and that's what we're talking about. Had we started this thing earlier, I know there's a parent out there that videoed that match.
Right.
It would have been nice to put up some footage.
Couple highlights.
Yeah, a little bit of highlights, a couple footage of
Yeah.
our 757 players.
Yep.
So also, let's see. So that was our 17s at the Monument City. Then what? 16s in club. We had Nansman Volleyball Club 16s. They finished first.
Very
Perfect
good.
record, 8-0.
Awesome.
Give Robin a shout. Robin Ross is their coach. Good job,
Yeah.
Robin. On the 16s, we got Coastal 16 Gold, finished third in club, 5-3. They're doing really well this year. Then Serve 15 Teal. No, is that right? 15 Teal. They
Right.
played up.
Yep.
Or is that okay? So 15 Teal.
I think played up
They played up and they finished in 5th place, and both.
in the 16 select category.
16 select, and they were 6-2. Good job there. Then moving on to the 15s, we had in open Coastal's 15 blue finished 2nd place with a 6-2 record, and Beach Elite 15 red. That's what the R is, right?
Yes, correct.
In club, they finished 6th with a 5-3 record. Then at 14s, we have Beach Elite 16 black, finished 2nd in 14 open with a 5-3 record. A lot of good places.
There was a lot of good places
high numbers
for
in
our
there.
area, yes.
Then a club that it's new to me, Virginia Tribe 14 Royal. They finished 5th in open and 14 open, and they had a 4-4 record. And lastly, in the 14-year-olds and 14 club, Beach Elite 14 red finished 3rd place. Then the last two will be our 12s and our 13s. Our 13s club, Beach Elite's 13 black finished 5th with a 5-3 record. Serves 13 teal finished 5th in select with 4-4, and Coastal 13 golds finished 6th in 13 select with a 4-4 record also.
So very good finishes so far, and then we have one more category, which is the 12s.
Yep, the 12-year-olds, Beach Elite 12 black finished 3rd in the 12 club with a 6-2 record. So record. Monument City, I think, ultimately 757 really represented.
Really did well.
They did good.
Really did well.
So you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. The Blizzard Blast was the next event that we decided to do simply because, it is a 757 event. And so a lot of the 757 teams played in it.
It's a 2-day, right?
It is a 2-day event. Some clubs don't play in it, so a lot of times, if you don't hear a club, it's not because they did not do well. Right. They just decided not to play in that event. But we felt that it was a nice event to mention. Correct. So the Blizzard Blast AAU event held in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the 17s and 18s were all one division for this event. And so the top place finisher of the 757 there was Coastal 18 Gold, who finished 2nd in that event with a 3-1 record. And then in the 16s division, you have Coastal 16 Gold, who finished 1st with a perfect 6-0 record. They're doing very well.
Yeah. Since
go ahead.
I'm just making this up. Since we talked about Robin, she was 8-0.
Right.
Right. This team here, 6-0. Shout out to John Castro.
John Castro's team,
yep. Great job.
In the 15s division, the Virginia Tribe, 14 Royal, actually played up. In these tournaments, you can play up. You just can't play down. So you can play kids older than you. You just can't play kids younger than you.
Right. I'm going to just kind of say this now. So for your grandma and your computer.
Right.
Computer.
Right, because it may not have internet. It may not be able to search.
Right. Just ignore him. I do. So anyways, for those grandmas and grandparents or parents that don't understand, we talk about, 18 and under, whatever. Basically, for volleyball, as it is with other sports, for volleyball, as of September 1st of that year, whatever your age is prior to that, right? So if I turn 18 on September 1st, that means I'm a 17-year-old player the whole year, right?
Right.
So anyone on a 17-year-old team has to be 17 years or younger all the way up to that date, till September 1st. We can take younger kids on my team. I have a 16-year-old team. I have a girl who's really eligible to play on a 15-year-old team. Sorry, Marissa. She was supposed to be on Marissa's team.
Right.
Yeah, she's not happy.
Oh well.
But it is the way it is.
It is what it is.
Anyway, and with that, when you go to tournaments, you can only play at your age group or up. You can play up, and that's what we're talking about here. This Virginia Tribe. It's a 14-year-old played at a 15.
Played at the 15s and did well. Came out second with a 4-1 record.
Right.
So that's very impressive.
Yeah.
And then at the 14s division, you have two coastal teams. In the 14 division, you have Coastal 14 Blue, who finished second with a 3-1 record, and Coastal 14 Gold finished third with a 2-2 record.
Right. So, and then the last thing we're going to talk about is what's called Maple, and that stands for the Mid-Atlantic Power League. You want to give a quick what that means?
A power league is basically a way that a tournament sort of tries to create some of your better teams around the region to come together and play at one site, trying to make it as cheap as possible and keep the competition high.
Okay.
And so the Maple, or Mid-Atlantic Power League, holds a couple events, and this event happens to be in Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah, I think there's one in Raleigh. And,
one in Raleigh, and then there's one up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I went to the Raleigh one last year. So
Yeah, it's good.
A really good event.
Yeah.
His team, he gets to go every year. But now, make sure I say this correctly, because this was new to me. Because this is new this year. They didn't do this before, did they? Where they did 16 through 18? I thought it was always...
Yeah, they've done it, I think, the past 2 or 3 years, just because there's so many teams now that want to participate in it, that they're trying to create different levels. So with the Maples, the black division is your highest division.
Highest meaning most
Open-ish,
competitive,
right.
open level.
Your blue division is the next division down, and then I think there's a red division.
Okay.
So it goes black, blue, red.
Okay, so for the results from Maple, it was held at the Hampton Coliseum
Yes.
up in Hampton, Virginia. The first place team in the 16 through 18 black division was your team. Coastal's 18 black. They came out of the day with a 7-1 record. Who'd you lose to?
We lost one match to Triangle 18 black.
Triangle. Now, Triangle's from Richmond area.
They're from the Triangle area of North Carolina.
I knew that. I
Yeah.
just wanted you to say it.
So very good club. Considered one of the better clubs in the East Coast.
Right.
They beat us in pool play, and then we came back later on in the tournament and beat them in the playoffs.
Little revenge. Didn't
A
you?
little revenge.
Little
It was
bit
nice.
more,
It was nice.
chutzpah
It was
for that
nice.
match. Good. All right, so anyway, Coastal's 18 Blue won that first place. Good job. That was a good job there. MVP 16 Select finished third in the 14 through 16 Blue division with a 7-1 record also.
And I believe that's a newer team this year.
Yeah.
That team split off from another club, so I believe they only have one team, but that 16s team did a nice job at Hampton.
Good. Then the next two was Beach Elite 16 Black. They finished fifth in the 14 through 16 Blue division with a 4-2 record. And then the last team of note is Virginia Tribe. They finished second in the 13 through 14 Red division with a 4-3 record.
Yeah.
Do you know what age group that was? Because I didn't have that down.
For the Tribe, that's the 14s team. That's that 14
team?
Royal team. Yeah, they finished in the 13-14s.
Right.
At second. So whenever I always like to nominate, I guess, or do whatever. And I probably have two, but I'm going to mention one. I'm going to pick my favorite team, or my team that I think did above and beyond the call of duty for this segment. I'm picking the Virginia Tribe 14 Royal team, who finished fifth place at Monument City Classic, a second place finish at the tournament in Virginia Beach, the Blizzard Blast. And in that tournament, they actually played up a level to 15, so it makes that even more impressive.
Yep.
And then came back again and finished a second place finish in the Atlantic Coast Power League in Hampton in the Red Division, and their overall record is 12-8.
Right.
So that's my team for the segment, and I'm going to throw this in there.
Okay.
Coastal 15 Gold is my
just
runner-up.
Right.
They just missed it.
Okay.
They've been doing some good things. They actually locally even just beat a 18s team as a.
You mean 16 Gold?
Or 16 gold, excuse me, 16 gold.
Yeah.
Just beat an 18s team as a 16s team playing in an 18s division.
Yeah.
So they were right there. So I sort of had to go back and forth and I flipped a
Right.
coin and
Well, I think you're being generous because, I mean, we talked about this when we were planning out how we want to do this. We talked about picking teams of the month or whatever. And, you know, if we're going to be doing this web podcast, whatever we want to call it, we'll probably try and do it every 2 weeks. So let's just call it the team of the episode or the team of this thing.
okay.
I think, honestly, you know, without being biased, you know, because you're being generous right now, it really should be your team, you know. Though, basically, Coastal's 18 blue team, you finished second place at Monument City. That's a huge tournament. A lot of people. And then the whole point of the Maple, right, is to put the best teams together, to really bring the best competition, and to walk out of there with a first place.
It was not. It was a good job.
Yeah.
It was very proud of the group. They've
Well, you told me they fought. You know,
they fought. We battled through some injuries. We still have some injuries, and the kids are just, you know, they're like, hey, look, I'm hurt, but I'm going to give it all I can. I'm going to keep playing till I can't play anymore, and they're playing through some injury, and they did a great job.
And so with those two events, you're 14-2. So, you know, for me, I think really, you know, and I can understand you not nominating yourself. That's fair. We talked about this isn't going to be about promoting us or our teams, but I will nominate you guys as the team of the episode, or whatever you want to call it. But so that's the finishes at the really big tournaments. But one other thing that Dave and I talked about we want to do here is, well, Dave, you want to take 1 second and kind of talk about ODR and talk about USA Volleyball and the regions and stuff like that?
Also in USA Volleyball, USA Volleyball is split into different regions across the country. Those regions are given a name. So all of the 757 is in the Old Dominion region, but not all of Virginia. Northern Virginia, when you get to Fredericksburg and above, usually competes in the Chesapeake region. And you know, North Carolina competes in the Carolina region. South Carolina competes in the Palmetto region. So each region has a name, and they will have local events that are basically just for teams in that region. And then what they also will do is they'll also create some type of rankings for the region, and they'll rank the teams who play in those regional events from 1 through whatever teams have played in those events, and those teams get a ranking. And we have several 757 teams right now that are currently some top rankings in the ODR. So we want to mention those too.
Yeah, we're gonna go through this list real quick. One thing I want to add to that is, you know, for USA Volleyball, the way these regions work is, you know, they, like they said, they play amongst themselves. We have tournaments. We call them 1-day events, and sometimes they'll be 2-day events. But the whole purpose is to determine who the best teams are in the region. And then at the end of the season, you'll have an ODR, or you'll have a bid tournament for each of the regions, and then those teams that win actually get a chance then to go to play at USA.
And these rankings will help seed that ODR bid tournament. So it's very important that, you know, if you're going to play in the ODR bid, that you try to finish as high on these rankings as you possibly can.
So what we're going to do, ODR releases the rankings periodically, and I have the first set of rankings here from February 1st. We were originally going to read all of them. We're not going to do that. I think we should just look at maybe, you know, the top 5 and point out any 757 teams.
Sounds good to me.
Instead of going through every one of them.
Perfect.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so in the 12 divisions, I don't think there are any 757 teams in there, are there?
No 757s in the 12s division as of right now.
Right. So in that case, we'll just read the first two. You got HOV 12 Navy and Fredericksburg 12 Black. And then in the 13s division, Beach Elites 12 Black Adidas. They're tied for 5th place right now.
Right. So they're in the top 5.
Right. Well, should we read the first place team there? Venom 13 and
Venom
under?
13.
Yeah. Okay, let me get the next one. I'll do these two.
Okay.
You can do the next one.
All right.
Let's see. So for the 14s division, we have in first place is NRV 14 Black. I don't even know where they're from. You know where they're from? Northern?
I believe they are from the Roanoke area.
Yeah, okay. But first 757 is Beach Elites. Beach Elites 15 Red Adidas is tied for 2nd place. And then we'll mention in 5th place is Williamsburg. It's up on the edge.
Williamsburg, yep. And they could be 757 or not. They're right on the edge there, so we'll mention them.
Yeah, they're 14 American. Let's see. Then in the 15s division, we got Hampton Roads Juniors right out on the edge there at 15 Nationals. They come in at 5th. And that's it.
That may be it for our 757 area in the top 5 at least.
So you had Augusta Junior Lady Vipers.
Right.
They just sound mean.
They do.
It's like that Karate Kid, the Vipers. Wasn't that the name of the other?
That was the crane kick.
No, not the kick, but the other like opposing the bad dojo. Wasn't it? Weren't they the Vipers?
The Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Maybe the
Sweep
Vipers.
the leg, Johnny.
Sweep the leg. Maybe it was the Viper the Viper was dodgeball.
I don't know. I'll have to look on my computer whenever I get home.
Your computer. All right. So next we have 16s. All right, that's all you.
All right. So 16s division. Oh, we got in first place right now is Outbreak 16 Black. That's Keith Bett's team.
That is my team.
Very good. Doing a nice job. So Keith, his team is in first place in the 16s division. Nansman Volleyball Club 16s are in third place. And that would be the top. That would be the 2 teams that are out of the 757 in the 16s division.
Yep.
And then the 17s division, we have Hampton Roads Juniors is in 5th place in the 17s division, and that's it for the 757.
Right. I wonder what that 17 TVC is.
I'm not sure, but I don't believe they're with us. If we're wrong on that, please let us know, and we'll add you in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, again, these are based on ODR events, right?
Correct.
So,
just ODR events.
Yeah. And I don't even think at this early if they take Monument City into it. I know.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
So, I don't think they do.
All right. So next, we have the 18s division. And within there, second place is the Fredericksburg Junior 17 Black. 17 Black in the 18s division. Interesting. And that's it, right? You got U-Turn, but they're up in Richmond in first place.
Right.
And then explain this whole 17s, 18s.
And then this year they've done a 17s, 18s division because the 18s division tends to be a smaller division.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by the time you get to 18s, a lot of times if the kids are, burn out in the sport, which we don't like to hear a whole lot about, but it does happen.
Yep.
Or they decide they're not going to go play in college.
Yep.
They, a lot of times, will decide to do other things. And so you have a lot of times less teams playing 18s than you would 17s, 16s, and 15s.
Right.
So because of that, a lot of times the ODR will combine the 17s and 18s into one
group
category.
Yeah, so like in a tournament, you'll have a 15 grouping, a 16 grouping, and then a 17, 18 grouping. You wouldn't have an individual. They would group them together.
And so because of that, they did a 17s, 18s combined ranking. So you could have any combination of 17s or 18s in there. And right now, Hampton Roads Junior 17s is sitting second. And Coastal 16s sitting 5th. And that's one of the reasons why I said that they were close to being nominated, because there's a 16s team who's actually ranked 5th in the 17s, 18s division. And that looks like that would be the top five from the 757.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm gonna that team's a strong team, a 16 gold. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna try and do. Every time we come on here, whenever ODR releases a new ranking, we'll go ahead and share it with you. We're going to do our best to post on the Facebook page, the results from tournaments. Whenever we have, teams like Dave's team that finished first or second, in big events, we're going to list it and we're going to try and put that out there. So for you guys out there, remember, nettalk757@Yahoo. Send us emails.
Keep us up to date.
We do the research. Dave went out and did all the research and tried to put all this information together. We could have missed someone. It's not our intention.
Easily.
We want to make sure we include everybody. The whole point of this, us sitting here so close that he can smell my, or I can smell his Taco Bell and he can smell my McDonald's, because we promote healthy eating. The whole point is so that we can recognize you, and we're not going to leave anybody out. We definitely don't want to do that.
Right.
So anyways, again, we're going to take a quick break and come right back.
Yep. When we come back, we're going to be getting a little bit of insight from Keith on something that is upsetting him in the volleyball community. So we'll be right back. Net Talk 757.
With Dave.
Red card.
Red card. Red card. It's the red card segment on Net Talk 757.
All right. So here's the deal, right? You'd probably think that the thing that bothers me the most right now, in regards to rule changes, is this crazy, stupid thing that USA Volleyball has done with the liberos jerseys. I'm sure a lot of coaches are thinking right now, yeah, that's it. But no. The thing that drives me absolutely batty, like want to pull my hair out, is the center line violation rule. What in the world were they thinking? It just makes absolutely no sense. As long as I've known volleyball, since I was 8 years old, you couldn't go over the center line, right? Why? Because it's a safety issue, right? What you could do is you could come all the way up to the line as long as your foot was on it, or even if your heel was up in the air but it was still over the line, you were good. But for some reason, those morons at USA Volleyball decided it's okay just to go all the way under. Now, I understand that all the rules kind of trickle down from international volleyball, right? Well, here's the thing. Those international players, those Olympic players, have the most incredible body control. They can control exactly what's going on with their bodies. So if they're up or if they're set and they're doing all these different things and they're close to that line and they can look across and see that there's someone there, they can keep themselves under control and not go under the net and get and hurt somebody. But the problem is, these are junior players. These are kids, right? Half these kids don't even have the ability to stop on a dime. They don't have the body control. So you've got kids that are running up, going under that line, and how often do they really get called? How many of these tournaments do we actually have kids reffing kids? So when these kids are out there reffing and they let it go one time, maybe someone comes under the net and, okay, it didn't look like that person was in danger, so I'm not going to blow the whistle. Well, that player, the next time they're close to the net, they're going to think, hey, what do I care? She didn't blow the whistle on me last time, so I'm going to plow under there. And then someone comes under the net, they collide, someone gets hurt, we roll ankles, we roll knees. I thought we cared about the safety of kids. These concussion rules that we have today are so restrictive, but yet USA Volleyball will allow a rule where it's just inviting people to get hurt. It's a stupid rule. There's nothing wrong with having certain rules that apply to international volleyball, that apply to the Olympic level play, and then a different one for the juniors. I understand we're trying to, conform and trying to have the same rules from the bottom kids all the way up to the top so that we learn the same skills. I get it. A double's a double. I get it. A lift's a lift. But center line, got to get rid of that rule. That's my red card. That's all I have to say about that. I feel better.
Good.
Anyways.
If you feel better, I feel better.
Good, yeah. So anyways, welcome back. Net Talk 757 on this